yet we're the most disconnected as a relationship to each other. We spend most of our time on our phones. We spend most of our time looking at the screens. And so a lot of that communication, a lot of that education has to come through these types of environments and platforms. But ultimately, when we come back together live, it's when we really see each other, and it's really when we touch each other and feel each other's energy, look in each other's eyes, listen to their words, the inflection of emotion, etc. And that's what we started to see. So as we kicked off the event, it was knowing that we were going to release a couple of things, or a few things. I shouldn't say a couple. There was a lot. We talked about the EuroN Study, and Steve Scott got up and did a masterful job of talking about the EuroN Study and really how we talked about a number of things. When we talk about the information that was on the screen there, we really are talking about having a better understanding of how fast does our glutathione get to the cell and how much glutathione gets in the cell. Well, we know that traditional mechanisms can't get through the stomach. They're broken down. It's too fragile of a molecule. And so ultimately, that particle gets broken up and destroyed. So it's got to get into different ways. Of course, there are other ways that people will protect it. Again, body doesn't love fats, doesn't love things that make it difficult to get through. But that protection is really the relationship, even down to a treated molecule like ethyl ester that goes on to a relationship of your glutathione molecule. Even that treatment couldn't compare and couldn't compete with our Hydrostat delivery. Regular glutathione, not so much. Ethyl ester glutathione, not so much. Our glutathione through the roof on 5 minutes and then 10 minutes even more as the others went down. So you have to recognize what is your cell able to utilize, and then remember the formulation that we have with cysteine and glutathione. Nothing can compete, and that's what the EuroN Study showed. The other thing that it showed was targeted. So if you've got especially as we age, or as our bodies are extremely stressed, or we have certain things that are happening in our bodies, in our lives, you're reducing the amount of glutathione in certain cells. So does our product, does our delivery system, does it look for those cells that are glutathione deficient? Absolutely. If you figure you've got over 37 trillion cells in the body, and in those 37 trillion cells, they're all little supercomputers. They're talking to each other constantly. That communication is much better than a LAN network of computers. Why? Because it's instantaneous, it's immediate, and it's responding and saying, look, I need some more glutathione in the liver. We've had a tough night, maybe, as I know some people did while we were at the event. So we've had a tough night. We need more glutathione in the liver. Well, what happens? Immediately, it's targeted to the liver. Well, the bottom line is what we really found out with the EuroN Study, and here's the punchline. It is one of the greatest redox activity neutralizers, if you will. So as you look at redox, think about it like a military operation. I hate to use that because we've got a lot of diverse people on this call, but the fact is, if you think about it that way, you've got to have certain types of ammunition that can take out certain types of free radicals. And so as your redox happens, your redox is looking for those free radicals constantly and trying to neutralize them and take them out of the game. That's the bottom line. So if you think about it from that perspective, we now have what we consider to be the greatest redox activity molecule and delivery system that has ever been shown. And that's what Dr. Nicolopoulos talked about the next day as he started talking about genetic experience, and as he started talking about some of those aspects and what he saw with his clients. And we're calling them clients, not patients, because it was really his clients that were using the products. And so what we talked about was the product that we used to find out about the EuroN Study was our new Extra Strength. Now, many of you may say, what's the Extra Strength? Well, the Extra Strength is the product that we were sending out to the doctors around the really U.S. and Canada, but doctors that we had specific information and dialogue with, we would send it to them. Good example, Dr. Nicolopoulos. We would send him what we called our 4X product, or the Swish 30. That would go out to him. It'd go out to a number of doctors. We kept on seeing things coming back that were changing the dynamics of what people were seeing in their results. And as we started to see that, we said, well, then let's make the next iteration, the next formulation of our product. A couple of things had to happen along that lines. We also had to file 2 more patents. I had the last patent finished a week the week before we actually landed in Barcelona. So think about that. That last final patent that I needed to protect our IP, our intellectual property, had to be done right before we landed there so that we could discuss the EuroN study in detail. You guys are all going to have two different versions of the EuroN study. One will be kind of a glossy overview, a little bit easier to understand, easier for me to understand. But then there's the one that's more science heavy. It gets into the laboratory. It gets into a lot of the speaks that many of us don't necessarily need, but a lot of people like it. And then on the flip side, a lot of our doctors, a lot of our scientists really want to see that information so that they can engage with the product and feel confident that they can give it out to their clients. And that's what we want people to understand. You'll have those two studies. It should be here within the next few days. I went through them yesterday, felt very comfortable with what we're going to send out to the field. It is astounding what we've been able to accomplish with our ingredient, with our formula, and most importantly, with our Hydrostat delivery. But what that did was it necessitated that next big move, which is our extra strength Neumi NutriSwish that will be out for everybody around the world. It'll slowly get to some countries, but here in America, Canada, Europe, etc., it's being ordered today. So the good news is extra strength is on the shelf. It's being ordered. People are getting it. And again, in certain parts of the world, as we need to finish up some of the inventory, we'll be sending it out. And again, as we all do, it'll start to occur that you'll see that coming out in certain shipments as time goes on. So the extra strength was one of the big releases, folks. And I'm telling you right now, that is the formulation that we use for all of our EuroN study. It's also what we've used in other types of studies right now. We've got certain things going on that we're not talking about, but just realize that we're doing some things behind the scenes. I've mentioned this for probably 2 years. We're doing things behind the scenes that nobody knows about. When we're ready to share it, or when we're able to share it, we'll get it out. So that was one of the monumental things, and Steve did fantastic. It was so fun to see him on stage. The energy was so big there that it was almost deafening at times, but not as deafening as when Bert and I went up right after Steve, and we launched a product to Europe that they had been screaming for. And let me tell you, screaming was the ancillary word that we'll use for what we heard in the crowd when we let them know that we had the HERS universal formula and that it is on the shelf in the Netherlands right now. That's what we went over. And let me tell you, the screaming and the yelling from the crowd, the excitement, the energy that came from that was palpable. I mean, I literally was standing on stage and I said to Bert, I told you so, because I have been saying we need this universal formula for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years now. And it's been really difficult. As we came up with a formula, we found out that maybe it didn't quite work as well. So we pulled it back, took it to the drawing board again, went back in, reformulated, etc. Out of France, Florence came up. She gave us another incredible testimonial. And then Anita Zabata from Poland. Anita talked about her changes and what she's seen. Incredible results and incredible feedback from the field on what they have seen, but we could only take a few. We were getting so much great information back that we can't wait to see the results that people start talking about online, that they start talking about as they do these types of calls, because we know that this universal formula hits all of the aspects, from regular menstrual cycle issues that women are having all the way up to perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopausal issues. We have the product now that is going to help women solve some of these issues. And Bert and I talked about it. This is not a joke. It's not something that we're trying to be funny about. But you may ask, well, why is it that two old men are standing on stage, delivering the news on this incredible product called HERS? It's why I brought up a few of our great leaders from different parts of the world so that they could talk about it, because ultimately we don't want to talk about it, but we do want to explain it. And the explanation that Bert gave was top of the top. It was absolutely spectacular. Again, going through each one of the ingredients, how it works in the body, why women will start to feel relief almost immediately. But again, going back to the EuroN study, how fast can we get to the cell through our delivery mechanism? That's the key. And that's what we were able to share. So the next step was then launching 3 new products that are, again, super cool, changing the direction, the trajectory of how Neumi's delivering products. We came out with the new mist sprays. We have Energy, which is a caffeine base, again, unbelievable. It has incredible ingredients in it, but to help you not only go up a little bit in your energy, but then stay up with the theanine. So it's not going, you're not going into this, I don't want to use a specific competitor's product, but you're not going into one of those energy drink crashes where you shoot to the moon and then come plummeting back to earth. This one brings you up casually and calmly, and then keeps you up so that you feel this energy, but it's more stealth energy. It feels good. It feels comfortable. It's not jittery. It's not uncomfortable. And that is something that we wanted. We also wanted a relaxed product, not necessarily a sleep product, but something that could calm, something that could kind of take away the anxiety, something that could give people a little bit of peace of mind and give them some confidence and some comfort, so that they had something that, again, they could spray in their mouth and have that magnesium and myo-inositol, so that it will literally help people just kind of calm down, give them a little bit better serotonin and GABA pathways, and then help them understand that with those two ingredients. So we didn't want to load up the ingredients. We wanted them to be very specific to balance the mood and support restful sleep, give them an all-night run, and then with magnesium, really help them with that calming, that capable calming feeling, so that they really start to feel like they can relax. And that is the key. Again, not trying to put somebody to sleep. Everybody has different issues with sleep, but the bottom line is to give them that. Now, the next one that we came out with was immunity. And immunity is really something that's super important to us, especially as we started traveling around the world. I had a lot of experience with fucoidan in my past, zinc gluconate, and galactin, sorry. But those three ingredients specific to helping us fight off and really help us improve our body's ability to have that support that it needs to fight off some of that bacterial or some of the assaults that happen from, again, wearing out your body. So of course, me on my flights, me running around Barcelona, me trying to, again, be everything to everybody, which is what we do at these events, going literally for 12, 13, 14 hours a day, just constantly spraying this immunity into my mouth. I never even felt anything. Even those people that were there know I had a throat problem because I had been screaming. The crowd was so loud at times that you felt like you were just, at a rock concert. And so as we were having these conversations, you had not only, hundreds and hundreds of people in the room, but you had thousands that were online watching the streaming event, part of the experience. And so again, you felt like you were having to just yell because there was so much activity, so much energy there. And so it was amazing. And then of course we talked about the new website. We talked about the new compensation plan. We talked about some of those aspects that will really help us continue to grow. We had Fran Lucas, who was on from Spain, wonderful doctor who's done incredible amounts of translation and interpretation for us. He was on talking about how he had worked with bodybuilders and other people that had some issues, and how he was able to diagnose and understand a little bit better their blood and some of the things that we were able to take care of and really help them through the support that our products give them for their body to maintain or to be able to heal or go through that process. What an incredible opportunity we saw for him to get on stage. And then Dr. Nicolopoulos, with all of the things that he's been working on over the last 2 years with us, folks, I couldn't get enough. I mean, literally, I told him, I said, Dr. Nicolopoulos, I will be there in Greece here shortly. We've got to spend time. He wants to work on some new products. He wants to work on some new formulations, some things that he's been working on that can really get into the mitochondrial level. And mitochondrial health, as we all know, something that our glutathione and cysteine really supports mitochondrial health. He wants to go one step further. He wants to take us to the new step. And really what we were seeing and what we had identified as we went through this process with him was understanding that what we were seeing on through the traditional mechanism of getting ingredients delivered, which is through the stomach, it just isn't happening. What he's seeing now with our products, whether it be Neuro, whether it be hers, whether it be NutriSwish, and even down to the sprays, he's starting to see things with his clients that's changing the way that he's actually practicing. So from some of the things that we're doing, we're starting to see people make changes in the way that they're dealing with things that are completely different than what maybe standardized medicine had told them for years and years and years. And again, through traditional supplementation, you just weren't able to get the same benefits or impact until Hydrostat technology came along. That's why we keep saying, folks, there is nothing like it in the world. There is not another product that is out there that has the same capabilities and same capacity to have the impact that we're seeing, these impacts on human health, that in my opinion are greater than anything we have ever seen in history. And again, you guys know that I go through those historical aspects and conversations about really, Eastern medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, and how things evolved over time. Not much happened, as we all know. I mean, I say it over and over again. 1834, we saw the capsules be patented by two French doctors, French scientists, that said we can put some ingredients in there and control it and give people the ability just to swallow it, and then it'll slowly absorb into their system. Great idea. What happened from then until 1960s? Not much. So again, we didn't see a lot of change happen until Hydrostat came along, and that's why the world is abuzz right now. It's why we're seeing people come to us asking, can we do certain things? We're not doing anything. We don't want to do things for other companies. We want to do it for Neumi. We want to do it for you. And so again, as we got to the final portion of the event, we walked into the last night. The room had completely transformed. It turned into a nightclub. It was absolutely gorgeous, a swanky nightclub, seating around and booths and high top tables and places where people could mix and mingle. We had flamenco dancers on stage. We had the guitarist that was playing. We had a DJ that came on afterwards, and the dancing went off the hook. It was absolutely amazing, folks. It was so fun to be with you. For those of you that were there, I just tell you, I can't even imagine having opportunities to be with you again, because it will be such a great experience. And I will tell you this: we had 5 of our top leaders that I asked personally to be on stage with me and just talk about how they had such incredible movement, if you will, this trajectory that they were able to take their teams on, and to be able to have a few individuals like Marco, who you just heard from, give a little bit of a testimonial on how he's created this culture within his organization that is so solid. I've never seen anything like it. They tell the gratitude that they have for each other. They talk about each other with love and respect and kindness, and they do it in open forums where they have this chance to really bring each other together and lift each other. I've never seen anything like it. So Marco spent a little bit of time talking about that. Marcin from Poland, just a phenomenal individual, wonderful person. But he talked about how you manage a lot of growth and a lot of quick growth. And he's amazing in his team. And you saw Kathy, who's here, talk a little bit about it as well. But this phenomenal movement that they've created there has been incredible. Andreas from Greece, he's the one that introduced us to Dr. Nikolopoulos. And Andreas talks about how he was able to bring in a lot of medical people that really understand the value of our technology. But now he's really working on kind of the growth mechanism, bringing in the right people that can obviously go out and attract the right people to start coming into Neumi and really build this company with us. We had Davide from Italy, who's one of the fastest growing guys, at least in Neumi right now. And we watched him really take off and teach people about how he talks about the process and the retention, and bringing people in and helping them get rid of some of those biases that they have, because they're really looking at it from the personality standpoint, not necessarily working on it from an observation standpoint. So that was fun. And then of course we have Peter Nagy, who is out of Hungary. He's just building an incredible organization. They have a great team growing. And so I asked him, I said, tell us how you've done it. You've got people growing in many countries right now. How are you doing it? And so, of course, he spent time sharing that information with them. We had incredible panels on stage with incredible leadership. And then, of course, we had our wonderful a couple of testimonials, one out of Romania, one kickboxer who's amazing. And then we had a Hungarian ultramarathoner who was on, and a triathlete who was, unfortunately, we couldn't find the slides, but he was showing the data from his watch. And how that data was able to take him and show him how his recovery was even faster because of NutriSwish. Was able to show how his individual performance records will be because of NutriSwish. And so he was able to go through a lot of that detail. It was unbelievable, folks. And as a result, we were seeing that. And as Alfredo talked about, that energy is what's sweeping out from this event that's going around the world. So my next point is, and I'll finish up right here, we have these Diamond Momentum Tour events that are going to start kicking off in August, September, and October. We really want you guys, each of you, to start organizing on the calendar. When are you going to have your event? And then let us know so that we can try to be there or try to support it in some way. It's starting with the diamonds. So work with your diamonds. If you want an event in your city, in your country, let us know. Let your upline know. Let your people that you're starting to work with and build in your teams. Let them know that you'd like an event. If the event's big enough, I'd love to come. And I tell people that all the time. The reason that I love the event that we just had in Barcelona is I saw people walk across the stage that I met 3 years ago, and they told me, Aaron, I'm going to build like crazy. I'm going to build a business here. I want to build something that's meaningful. And they did. That's the key, folks. That's really where we take those next steps. Karen always talks about it. We have targets and we have goals. Where are our targets? Where are you setting your targets right now? And what are your ultimate goals? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to take your business? What are you interested in doing? How do you get there? What are the areas that you can impact for yourself? And then with your team, how can you help your team augment some of those areas that you may not be great at, but use them to help you be great at building an event and building out towards those impending events? That's what's going to change everything. So I'm excited to work with you. I'm excited to be a part of you. I know that we've had this incredibly consistent group in this organization that continues to grow. Karen has been doing this call for years now, every single Saturday. What an opportunity to bring people together to have these types of conversations and have a great open communication and dialogue about where we're going. So folks, I can't tell you how excited I am right now to take this next step with you. I can't wait to be a part of your success. Not that I'm going to be a big impact on it, but I'm going to hopefully help support your desires and your dreams and your goals and your targets to achieve those, whatever they look like. And was having the opportunity to have one of our Achieve events in Orlando and one of our Achieve events over in Croatia again, because that was such a hit last year. But so we wanted to be able to do that and have an incredible opportunity to bring people back together again, to learn, to grow, to personally develop. That personal growth is so important to us and to you.